A gal was abandoned as a baby, and so she was put into the foster care system. Well, at the age of 4, the foster mother told her, get your things together, we don't want you anymore, and so social services is coming to get you today. So she put all of her things in a little paper bag, I mean she didn't have much, and went to swing under a pear tree. She said, to this day I hate the smell of pears. She swang all day long, and after it was dark the woman came out and said, well, they don't want you either. They're not coming for you. She said that was what her whole life was. Nobody wants me. And that was her lie. And the Lord showed up in that process, took that lie out and planted the truth. I want you. You are mine. Now that pastor tells me that this woman is on fire for the Lord in a way that she goes out and gathers people into her arms and just loves on people because she knows she's loved. That's the difference it makes. Another quick story. There was a black gal in London, darling gal, university student, and her lie was, whites are better, will never be a success. She argued with the Lord, I don't believe that. She said, I know I'm going to be a success and whites are not better than me. And the Lord said, would you mind if I just showed you a few things? So he showed her that she was in this class, 20 people in a circle, and the whole grade depended on her answering questions out loud, just like everybody else. But in that class, she didn't say a word. And the Lord said, what is it that's in your heart right now? Why didn't you answer those questions? And she realized she was the only black person in the class. And so what she had to say wouldn't count. And then he showed her in high school. Well, she was in the top 10% of her class. And now this is London, right? So the school rented some buses and took the top 20% of the class to Cambridge to see if they'd like to go to school there, but they did not in her. Now she didn't go to her counselor before, she went to the counselor after the trip and said, why wasn't I invited? And the counselor said, well, sweetheart, black people don't really make much of a difference in life. I mean, they just don't want to take responsibility. They just want to have food, clothes, and shelter, and they're happy. And it wasn't what the teacher said, the counselor said, that was so bad for her. It was as she walked out the door and down the hall, she realized she agreed with that counselor. That was what was so bad. And so she said, okay, Lord, show me. And of course she got down to the root of it, and the truth he planted was, I created all of my children to be equal. No one is better than another. And I created you to be highly successful. Now that young girl's life has totally changed. She's not walking around doing everything just right to be like a white person. She's having fun and getting good grades and making a career for herself. And you might ask, well, how come you do all this? I mean, why are you the one to give this revelation out? Because I've been doing this process for 25 years, you understand. I journal, and so I have more than 200 lies that I've recorded myself on my own stuff. And when people know me, they say, well, I want that too, because, you know, you've uncovered so much about your health, for example. There's so many lies behind bad health. Well, for 25 years I did this process. And then one day the Lord said, write a book. So I wrote Buried Lies. And it's a novel, because that's how I write. People started reading the novel and they said, well, could you do a workshop for us? So I started doing workshops. I said, well, would you write a workbook so we could do it at home ourselves? And so I wrote a workbook. But then my publisher had the very best idea, because he put the workshop and the workbook on CDs. So now everybody can do it at home at their own pace and still have my voice leading them in the prayer process. You see, I'm a missionary in France, and I've been here for 20 years now. I don't do the normal things a missionary does. I don't start churches. I used to. I don't teach in Bible schools. I used to. All I do now is write. I write short stories for the radio, and my stories in French are on 45 stations. I write books like the ones you've just seen. I've done 10 of them, and here's my last one. It's called Wild Card. This is an evangelistic novel, and I hope it reaches millions and millions of people. I want to tell you a quick vision that the Lord gave me about my writing, and you'll know why that's all I do. One day He simply appeared to me, and He said, let's take a walk. And so I got up and we started walking. Now this was in the Spirit. And we came to a place where there was an abyss that was as far as the eye could see, endless on either end, filled with fire, just raging flames. And out of that fire were people. They were trying to climb up those perpendicular walls with their fingernails and toenails, but they couldn't. They'd fall back into the fire. And it was horrifying to me. And the Lord turned to me and He said, what you write keeps people from coming here. And so that's all I do, is I write. I write evangelistic stories, I write evangelistic novels, I write this Buried Eyes, Sleeping with Demons, Apple of Gold a Day. And so I would encourage you to go to my website, www.martydelmon.com, and that's MartyDelmon.com, and just research what I do. And if you are led by the Lord at all to support me, I have 2 wonderful agencies that support me. World Missions Ministries at P.O. Box 12609, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73157, or Rhema Bible Church, P.O. Box 50126 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I have to quick get my jib sheet here. 74150. In both cases on the memo line you have to put Marty Delmon, because there are so many missionaries in both groups that you have to pinpoint who this is going. And if you'd like to order my books directly, just go to www.tatepublishing.com. For those of you who are watching who do support me already, thank you a million. Thank you that I am able to do this kind of work. The stations put my programs on for free. Now they're expensive to make, but I have free airtime because I'm reaching the lost. And the last time I polled the stations, over 12 million people were listening to the stories. And that was 5 years ago, so I should really poll them again now that I've got 45 stations. But thank you so much for your support. Thank you for praying for me. Thank you for helping me when I come to the States and letting me stay in your homes and all the kinds of good things that you folks do for me. Thank you so much. Be blessed.